Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Newsgram. If you've ever been even a little bit curious about ancient China and its cultural history, then this is probably the show for you. Here for the first time, we're going to get an insider's view of early Daoism as it influenced Chinese philosophy. But before we get into all that, let's start with a simple question. How did a young boy named Qin, growing up in exile, become China's first Augustan emperor?
Well, this is all a bit of a mystery because most of the records were destroyed after the fall of Qin, which ended in a bit of a holocaust or an inferno when the future Han dynasty took over. This is now being remedied somewhat by the discovery of tombs with silk manuscripts miraculously preserved inside from that period. And they show a lot of connections with the Héguanzî, the Pheasant Cap master, and his writings, which I estimate in the period from about 250 BC to 221 BC, which was the date in which Qin conquered the last of the six kingdoms and started the unified Chinese empire. And they still see this as the foundation of the unified China.
So not as simple a question as you thought, right? But the discovery of new material is painting a clearer picture of the past. It's all available now in Dr. Marnix Wells' new book, Héguanzî, the Dao of Unity, linking politics, philosophy, and religion in ancient China.
This boy who actually grew up was born in the state of Zhao, which is where this book is centered. And later he managed to get back to Qin and claim the crown. And from there he became the emperor and the conqueror of the whole world, the whole Chinese world at least. And founded the empire.
Dr. Wells knows a great deal about Chinese history. He has a first degree in Chinese from Oxford and a PhD from the London School of Oriental and African Studies. He also spent some time in the Far East, working as a shipping manager, where there he acquired first-hand knowledge of the people and their heritage. And as you know, one way to better understand a country is to not only visit there, but to have a look at its history. And Chinese history paints a unique picture of unity.
The Qin, which founded the Chinese Empire, was basically, in some sense, tapping into Héguanzî, because he has this kind of vision of all nations and races and coming together. And although it wasn't done peacefully, as it turned out, nonetheless, they did adopt this idea of sort of centralized unity, which the China has enjoyed in some way for 2,000 years. So that's it's a good lesson for the world. At the same time, it's also kind of something we need to be careful about because it's also a potential threat to the rest of us unless we can somehow work things out.
Yes, we do have an issue with unity in this country right now. But I'm optimistic that the tide is turning on all that. We have had our differences over the years, and we usually find a way to come together and unite. So if you find Chinese culture fascinating, or you just want to broaden your worldview, maybe you're curious about early dismissed writings, now vindicated by some new archaeological discoveries, then maybe this is a great resource for you.
I'm attempting to kind of bridge the gap between academia and the man in the street. Of course, this is very dangerous because on the one hand, you get the reaction from many ordinary people saying that, oh, well, this is something outside their understanding. And on the other hand, you get the academics saying, well, we haven't peer reviewed it and so forth. I would welcome any kind of academic challenge because I've put in a lot of footnotes to back up what I say. And so if somebody has a different interpretation, that would be great.
We live in a global world. We do a great deal of business with China. We hear something about China in the news almost every day, but I wonder how much we really know about the country, its people, and its origins.
Indeed, we need to learn more about the rest of the world. We need to know more about China and its culture, not from the propaganda so much as from the actual history, and also into, Asia, Africa, South America. We mustn't shut ourselves away in our Western paradise, or not so paradise, but we must engage with the world.
So why not jump into your time machine and head back to the China of warring kingdoms in 250 BC on the eve of imperial conquest. The key to your travels is the internet, where you'll find a book about how the Chinese Empire and Chinese mindset was formed. It's called Héguanzî, the Dao of Unity, linking politics, philosophy, and religion in ancient China, by Dr. Marnix Wells. It's available right now at Barnes & Noble or Amazon, and yes, we've put links in the show's notes for you to make it easy. And that will do it for this edition of Newsgram from webtalkradio.com.